Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to another episode of Building Returns hosted by Radio Works. My name, as always, is John Stokoe, and my business partner, Roger Burrows, and I founded a company called Source My Property. It's a property development and investment portfolio building firm in South Wales of the United Kingdom, now rapidly expanding across the south of England and soon to be announced in other places around the world, but we'll leave that up for another week. This radio show, Building Returns, it's not about us, it's all about the movers and shakers. I think we've just started again, so we'll start again. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to another episode of Building Returns hosted by Radio Works. My name is John Stokoe, and my business partner, Roger Burrows, and I founded a company called Source My Property. It's a property development and investment portfolio building firm in the South Wales of the United Kingdom, and we are rapidly expanding across the south of England and soon across the globe, but we'll leave that for another episode. This radio show, Building Returns, is all about the movers and shakers in the property and real estate industry around the world. It's not about us, it's about our guests. My role here is to showcase those people around the world that are doing things differently, people that are doing things better than everybody else. And I really want to share their original flavor and give them a platform to explain what they're doing and are really making a difference, not only to their business, but to people around the world. Tonight, we have the esteemed pleasure of showcasing a local UK property legend. He's a property guru, he's a mentor, property mentor, and my friend, Mattand Patel. Before we get into it, Mattand, can you give our listeners a brief background on yourself and also how you find yourself in the business? Good evening, Martin.
Sure. Thanks very much for that, John. Thank you for inviting me as well. So just a brief background. I live on the outskirts of London in a commuter town. Basically, I've got a PhD in chemistry. I was going to go into research science. In 1991, my father hit upon hard times. I actually cut back I was going to go into academia, but I cut that short to go and help my father out. So I haven't really worked for anyone throughout my whole life. I've only worked for myself. I started in women's fashion, so I went from being a chemist and a research scientist in the lab investigating thalassemia into women's fashion. Okay, it does require a different mindset. I excelled at that, and my father had always told me.
So you excelled in women's fashion?
Correct.
Okay, all right. Just wanted to clear that up. No, carry on. It's fine. Yeah.
Not transsexual,
This is a property show. Yeah.
So then after that, I became hugely successful by the age of 30. I really, most people would dream of the sort of money that we've generated by the age of 30. Unfortunately, at that time, HSBC were only giving 4% in the market, or actually 3.5% to 2% in the money in market accounts. Yeah. So I decided to actually go into trading. Now, it was a dot-com bubble, and I lost all the money that I'd collected and started again. So I went back into women's fashion. My dream and passion has always been to develop something greater than myself and to help. After coming back, I had took many trading courses, so I'm very skilled at trading. But unfortunately, it happened again in 2009-8. With Northern Rock. I found myself again, on a leveraged margin trade where, I had to borrow my money from my father, remortgage the house and pay all the debt. And then after that, I set up a solar company. So you can see the transition. Really I believe that most people, do things out of either inspiration or desperation, right? I've come from the lowest of lows to actually push myself forward. So what I did was I set up a solar company. I'm passionate about renewable energy. I always have been. Most of my mates at the time were saying to me, what do you know about solar? I said, well, it's solid state chemistry. I know a little bit about solid state chemistry, but I started the company from scratch. And, you know, someone above was obviously looking over me at the time. It's when the government were about to cut the feed-in tariff as well. And our business really took off, you know. So within two years, I'd set up a phenomenal business. But like everything, you know, the government like meddling in things. They cut the tariffs and everything else. So I decided to actually go into property. Now, I've been in property for the last 20 odd years, where I was buying and selling and really upscaling myself as well. But I didn't consider that property. You know, my first flip was in '95, where I bought a little flat in Palmer's Green for 62,000. Sold it 6 months later for 92,000. Then went on to a house, you know, buying a house at about 175,000, and then selling that on for $500,000. And that's how I started my journey.
So you become an accidental property investor, so to speak.
Yeah. It was really a sideline
to the income that you're making in other businesses.
Exactly. And the thing is, a lot of my friends at the time in fashion, you know, they're already in property, but I wanted to make it fast, and that's why the stock market appealed to me. And that's why I went into the stock market, you know. But yeah, I've learned a lot of things, you know, with the highs and the lows. You know, it's all about life experience, you know. From there, I decided to invest in property because what I wanted to do, and the main reason I wanted to do it, was to give securities to my family. You know, I wouldn't have accomplished anything that I've done without my wife. I'll be honest with you, John. You know, you need that support mechanism, you know. And she has been a superstar. You know, I would say to you, you know,
she's on the lights.
Yeah, she is the one, and we're a good team. You know, we make a very, very good team. So that's where I'm at now. You know, I started investing in property in 2011. Built up
as a full-time concern then.
Yeah, built up a portfolio, a sizable portfolio, which enabled me to do everything. And then I was really asked to come back as a mentor, and I started then mentoring. And I really enjoy mentoring. You know, I enjoy helping people and to help them achieve their goals, you know. And so it's really, and I know the whole of the country. I mentor not just in London, I mentor all around the country. So I know what sort of strategies work in different areas. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell, basically.
So long story short, you've started as a chemical engineer. You got into the rag trade, if we can call it that. Yeah. Made a bit of money, bought a couple of properties, then got into the stock market, win it, get it fast, lose it even faster.
Yeah.
Now, through that, there's been a stream of property transactions, and through that, your knowledge has grown, and you've seen the longevity, and the fast money doesn't always make money, but it's the stability that you've created out of property. Obviously, like we all know, like you teach as a mentor, and as I know, it's the stability of bricks and mortar, creating that continual income stream that gives you that stability for you to probably go out and do other things that might be your passion or whatever it is you want to do.
Yeah. That's it, John, basically in a nutshell. It is, you know, it's a vehicle. There's different forms of property, but for me, that was the form that I wanted to concentrate on. I'm now doing developments. So I've got what I've got. So it's a case of developments and also mentoring people as well and helping them to become financially free.
Sure. So your business now, would you say your business consists of a portfolio of income generating properties, whether they be HMOs, buy-to-lets, mixture of all of those? You're probably doing a couple of flips and bigger stuff as well, bigger developments as well. So that is a property. Is that a property business, or is it a sort of a sideline hobby that's growing, or is it an actual functioning business?
No, it's a functioning business. So you know, the whole point, and to start with, it is a case of creating a passive income to allow you then to go off to do the other things that you want to do.
Absolutely.
You know, by creating the passive income, my ROIs in my property are off the chart, basically. You know, I've got a lot of money down deals as well. You know, when the market enabled me to do that, I was doing that. And obviously now, you know, I've done flat developments as well. So it's really the high yielding assets that I concentrate on. I don't, it's not necessarily the size of it. It's how much how much can we make it sweat?
Now, Mattand, you've been through the mill, literally, through various different industries. And you've seen various forms, multiple forms of income generating assets, businesses, etc. Where would you rate income generating property on that scale in terms of a risk and reward?
I would put it on the highest level. Okay, so the best way to look at it is you've probably heard of Warren Buffett, the most renowned investor in the world. Okay.
Yep.
In the tech bubble, I'll give you an example. In the tech bubble, Warren Buffett invested in what he knew. Yep. He invested in yields, dividend yields that were coming out. Coca-Cola and things like that. They weren't in vogue, they weren't in fashion, but he invested in those sort of things because he saw the long-term prospects of it. Yeah.
Sure.
Investing in income-generating properties is like becoming a Warren Buffett. Okay, you are doing it. It's not a get-rich-quick idea. It's never been a get-rich-quick idea. Although you will, over time, develop a sizable portfolio, and obviously you'll build up equity in it. But your first and foremost should be, what is it? Every asset, it should be, if it's an income-generating asset, if it's income-generating, then it's an asset. If it's not,
it's a liability.
Exactly. Yeah. That's correct. And so you have to concentrate on those sort of things.
So simplistically, the business looks at creating income-generating assets, and obviously your exposure in the market, being a mentor, understanding the market up and down all over the country, gives you access to, and I know that those good properties will find you instead of you having to hunt them. And when you have those opportunities, obviously you leverage that and you expand and you build your portfolio, which gives you ability to do other stuff, which we'll discuss just now. So in terms of your business structure, how many of you are involved in the business? Can you give me an idea on that?
Yeah, so the business really is a family-owned business, basically. So we've got two avenues to it. There's the income generating side of the business, which my wife and I look after. Yep. And then there's the development side of the business. So I have a building team in Kent, which does most of my buildings now. Okay. I've worked with them for a little bit of time now, so they understand me. They know I am quite a demanding chap, and I need things done on time. So that's where we stand. So we've got the income side. Once you've got your income side, you can then go off and do everything else. So the development side really just brings in the bigger money,
Sure. It's bigger chunks. It's bigger chunks instead of the regular. Yeah, the regular. And what I call the Tesco money.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. So it is actually trying to find the right sort of formula. Yeah.
Sure.
And the right formula is, at the end of the day, if that deal doesn't, we're in a perfect position where if the deal doesn't stack up, I don't need to force myself to take it.
Sure.
Okay, so the deal stacks up and I like it, I will take it. If it's a challenge and I can see the potential behind it, I will take it. So right now, a group of friends. So I've got a lot of friends who are in property as well. Who have done phenomenally well. Yeah, phenomenally well. They are. I have a billionaire friend in London whose father passed away recently. And I have other friends who, where our paths diverted was when I was 30. They were investing in property. I went the other way. Yeah. But if you look at the Sunday Times Rich List, I'll tell you now, right? If you look at the Sunday Times Rich List, the top 50 there, a vast majority of them own property.
Oh, they would do. Yeah, it's just
Alan Sugar said the same thing. Exactly. And Alan Sugar also said the same thing. He wished he had actually got into property earlier because he'd seen how successful his other friends had been. So what I'm doing now is I am actually working with these guys because of the breadth of experience that I have. I am working with them, and we are doing a big office to resi conversion. With a huge GDV, basically creating 54 units. Yeah,
and that's where the money's at. But I agree with you, and I know also we're going to touch on the mentor stuff. Unless you are currently financially free, in that you have sufficient income to cover your daily, your monthly living expenses regularly,
Yeah.
To be going after the big chunks it's risky. I'm not saying don't do it if you've got a hell of a deal. With the right mentorship and coaching, I'd say go with it. But I do personally agree with going after that stability of income stream and then looking after the bigger and for me personally, it's a case of challenging yourself, getting out there. So why are people doing blocks of flats? Why the hell can't I be doing that? And going after those bigger things. I think there's a personal growth, and it's also you're getting I personally believe there's a shortage in the housing market in the UK, so you're propping up and helping what is actually a demand, which is a need for housing in this country. Yes, there's a financial benefit, but I also believe that you're supplying people that actually need houses and homes in this country. So, but at the same time, it comes back to my personal view. Somebody said this to me the other day. They said, if a plane's going down, they tell you to put the oxygen mask on you first and then help the next fella.
Yeah.
You can't help the next guy if you're starving for air. Yeah. And I think that's what it comes down to. And this is what the show is about. And again, what we'll talk about is you've got to help yourself to be able to help others. And I'm probably going off on a bit of a tangent. I'll bring it back now. But, there's nothing wrong with extreme wealth, because with extreme wealth becomes the ability to pass on extreme knowledge and extremes into other people, so you can more benefit other people.
And the other thing, John, is that you become more generous. Okay.
Absolutely. That's exactly.
Wealth also enables
you. Be generous if you're broke.
Exactly. So I don't know if we'll touch on it, but I do a lot of charity stuff. We do a lot of charity stuff, and that is another passion of mine. And the other thing I also believe is you become more successful if you do something that you're passionate about. There's no point doing something that your heart doesn't believe in. You have to be passionate about it, and if you're passionate about it, it will work. If you put in the hours that's required, of course there's going to be hard work in the beginning, but then there's rewards at the end of it. And we came to the UK with nothing. I came as a refugee in 1972 from Uganda. The only money that my father had was my mum's jewelry. We lived in a house in Hendon with 2 families, with my uncle, and we've built up businesses, and if you look at most of the Ugandan Asians, that's what they've done, it's working hard, but also working smart. It's not just a case of working hard, it's working smart as well.
No, that's the right thing. So can you give the viewers an idea in terms of numbers, without giving away too much of the game, what sort of numbers we're looking at on the two sides, on the income generating and the capital stuff?
So look, the new year hasn't even finished. I actually flipped a property. Most people don't comprehend that property is a business first and foremost, but it's also about people, right? Because I've been in business so long, I developed relationships very quickly with estate agents and with sources and people like that. I picked up a deal, last year. Not too long ago. I didn't do a thing to it. I picked it up for 140,000, and I sold it for 210,000.
Right? That's one person's salary, a good salary for a year.
Yeah. So you're looking at deals like that on the income generating side. Look, I don't like to give away numbers, but I am comfortable.
Well, we can't. We're not registered to be giving away the specifics. Yeah. It's that whole.
But it is. I'll give you one example. I did 5. Yeah, sort of. Okay, you can say 3 properties when I started. I did a 5-bed HMO, a flat conversion, and I did a 7-bed HMO.
Yeah.
Okay. The 5-bed HMO, that is bringing in at the moment about £1,800 a month.
Okay. If you're a youngster, that's one deal and you're financially free.
Yeah. And that was a no money down deal.
That's my very next question. So a lot of people that are watching the show are going, oh, yeah, you got to have big money to get into property. And that's probably the biggest fallacy of it all. That's something that I know you teach, that, I work with as well, is how you can do these small, medium, and extremely large transactions without using any of your own money. Can you give us a few examples of that from obviously as a property mentor? Give us a few examples of how that works.
Okay, so all right, the deal that I talked about just now. Okay, what happened? I'm currently working on 5 projects at the moment. Okay, it's often that I am just all out. And I'm doing the projects basically. So this particular one came up through my contacts. My estate agents basically phoned me up and said, "This is great. You should look at it." And yeah, I'd organised the price and everything else. Realised that actually I needed the funds for my other projects. So it was really a case of working with angels. So I picked up the phone. I spoke to a friend of mine. We went out for a pint, and I said to him, "I need 200 grand. Are you willing to give me 200 grand?" He went, "Okay, let me speak to the wife," literally like that. "Let me speak to the wife and I'll come back to you." He said, what do we do? I said, "Well, I'm buying it for 140. My thing is, I can flip it for 275. Yeah, I can flip it for 275. It's gonna, if I bring the team up from Kent, we can probably do the refurb for about 50k. So we're looking at 75k profit basically. Yeah. If you're interested, you supply all the money and we'll just split the profit. I'll do everything else." Yeah. So it was a win-win. You know, in any deal that you do, it has to be a win-win. Yeah. I am a great believer in a win-win. It can't just be all about you. So
you can do it as a win and a lose.
Yeah.
But you do it once. And we're in it for the long term. And if you're that sort of person, knock yourself out because you won't be in business soon. But it has to be the win-win. And you're making it a win-win. I bet you that same guy, when you gave him his 200 and plus the extra back again, I bet you he threw straight back at you plus more to go and do better projects.
You know, and the funny thing was, you know, he only put in 140, right? Because the 50, that was on the reserve side. Yeah. So his ROI, his interest for less than 6 months was 35%.
Yeah.
After we split the profits,
you can't get that anywhere else. No, I mean, even in the market.
Yeah, and there's another deal that I'm doing, you know, that I'm lucky to have friends who also, you know, have some spare cash around. So, you know, there's another deal that we did. And yeah, you know, I've got friends in Europe who are, you know, I've known for a very, very long time, you know. Their money wasn't doing anything, so I said, "Well, if you like, you know, I can help you. I can give you a steady return." And they've obviously lent me the money to do that, and that's where we're at. You know, you need to ask. A lot of people are scared, you know, about asking other people, and you really, if you want to succeed, you must put yourself out there.
Absolutely. I've got one caveat, or let me just say one step before that I know you'll agree with, is just going to ask somebody for money and you haven't got a deal to back it up. Maybe not. Depends on your relationship. However, if you found the deal, it's that old story. Find the great deals and the money will follow. If you find a phenomenal deal, you know, when you show the numbers to these financially savvy people, it's not an issue. I don't want to say get the money out of them or have them invest with you. You know, there's different ways and different structures that you can have in joint ventures or just investing in, or whether it be asset backed or non-asset backed or whatever. There's different ways to do it. But I always believe in find the right deal and the money will follow.
Absolutely.
Any other sort of methods that you are used to with no money down stuff, or do you just focus on the angel?
No. Look, in the beginning, you know, when you have little funds, you have to try and concentrate on no money down deals. Okay, but the whole of the country is changing. Right? So you have to go to certain areas. If you're looking for a no money down deal, you have to go in certain areas. You know, they're not available now. They were readily available after the Great Recession, if you like. Those deals are few and far between now. And you really have to become a bit more savvy on how you can extract value out of these buildings. So for us, it's either converting into a flat or turning it into a big HMO. So it's all the different strategies that we use, basically. You know, so I no longer, unless a deal comes, if there's a decent no money down deal, you know, just going back to the deal that I sold, you know, the one that I said I sold for 210. Now I actually sold that to another investor. because he could easily have turned those into 5 flats, refinanced that, and that would have been a no money down deal. Now, for me, I am on another project. I was in partnership with this friend of mine, so I wanted to return the money as fast as I could as well. So it helps him out, helps me out, and I don't have to do the project management. So great, it's a win-win. So this investor I sold it to, he could see the value. So I did leave money on the table, but you have to do that. You cannot be greedy. It is a two-way street. So I left money on the table. I was happy to leave money on the table because for me, the deal was I did nothing to it. I did absolutely nothing to it. Okay. I put in a few planning applications. I did this, but that was it. And it was a case of I needed to make sure that the numbers stacked up for him. He looked at the numbers and he said, So he could refinance that building for around about 390,000 after he'd done the work, and he'd get a no money down deal.
Sure, fantastic. So, do you deal with any lease options at all? Do you fiddle with those at all?
Yeah, I have in the past. But generally, I'm if I analyze each deal on its own merits, so I don't specifically go to look for lease options. What I tend to do is a deal will come to me, and I'll say, okay, what do I don't want to do with this? If it's a flat conversion, if it's an HMO, or it could even be it could be a lease option where they're struggling. I have done lease options in London, believe it or not. One in Edgware, but that was again in the Great Recession. And that was working with the vendor and giving him a return. So I didn't actually invest any money in that.
I'll come back to your point about being win-win, and it's also my view when it comes to lease options as well, is the vendor or seller or owner or whatever it may be needs to be in that position where having a lease option offered to them is a win, is a solution for a situation. They might be in a tricky situation where they might not be able to sell for whatever reason. One of the strategies, another no money down deal, sort of mixed in with a bit of an option is the I've just gone mad, is the assisted sale, where somebody's, for example, they might have inherited a property, but it's in terrible condition. Nobody wants to buy it because it's in terrible condition. We come along, we spend the money on doing the refurb, and then we, however you want to do it, split the profits when you now can sell it out the other side. So there's another way to make money. And I love doing those because I win. There's a financial gain. The vendor wins because they are out of their tricky situation. And again, that's a way of doing it with no money down. Some people might say, oh, hold on, but you spent money on the refurbishment. I'd defer that and I'll go back to your plan. I'll say, to find somebody with 10 or 20 grand to lend you to do a refurbishment, which is atypical on a home refurb, quite extensive. Maybe a little bit more in London, to find 10 or 20 grand from somebody is not a big issue when they're going to see a decent return out the other side. If you're splitting half, or even if you, I don't know, let's just say the property now makes 40 grand. If you were half and half with the vendor, that's 20-20. Even if you go half and half with your investor, you've made 10 grand for not one penny. And your investor made probably, if he put in 20 grand, he's made 50% on his money in 6 months. So it's a pretty fair turnaround. So these are the sort of things, and this is another part of the show where I like to have different people talking about different avenues and strategies, how they can extract value. But at the same time, and I'm glad you brought it up, Mattand, is how we are working with and winning. So it's a win-win situation with the vendors, the investors, yourself. We're turning empty homes into livable homes. So you got somebody that didn't have a home before, they've now got a home to live in. And this is what makes me personally passionate about this property industry. It's not just the numbers. If I just want to do the numbers, I'd go back to the investment bank where I was. I found that quite sort of...
It becomes boring.
Sure, it's exciting when there's numbers, but you win and lose fast. But this is more personable. I feel like I'm doing more good for a wider range of people. I'm keeping tradesmen employed, and it's just a fantastic thing. And when you're getting letters back, you're getting testimonials from people telling you that you're changing their lives. There's nothing more heartwarming than that when somebody says you've changed my life, or you've done something, or you've helped me out of a sticky situation. So And this is why I want to get you on your show. You definitely grab onto that ethos.
You know, I've mentored more than 100 people. You know, and you know, I've also done business coaching as well. So I've actually, you know, when I decided to close down my solar company, you know, my guys said, well, what do we do now? So I actually set them up a solar company themselves. You know, I didn't want my name. I wanted to keep my name, but I set them up another business basically, and you know, because they didn't know how. So you know, Lee recently bought himself a brand new house, you know, in Surrey. So he's done very well, and it's nice, you know. People respect you, you know, and it is a case of you're doing something to someone else.
Did you combine those two industries at all?
I do it all the time. Yeah, look, you know, for me, I like doing different things. I don't like doing the mundane things. One day I could be a property mentor. The next day I am actually going out and doing a development, right? The following day I could actually be going down to all the properties to make sure that they're all okay. So it's different, you know. It's nice. It's nice not doing the same thing every day. I love it. You know, that's where it comes in. Yeah.
And you don't have to get into a train and go to the same office every day. That's what I quit two and a bit years ago.
Yeah.
Now, to get out there, and obviously from mentoring is a core part of your existence and business profile at the moment now.
Yeah.
Branding and being visible out there in the market and in the industry is vital today. Yeah. What are you doing to put yourself in that place so to promote yourself and to attract more business?
Okay, I mean, to be honest, John, you know, I have actually been doing a lot of my own things. I haven't actually been, you know, on Facebook and things like that. Even in my solar business, you know, we relied on a lot of referrals. You know, I had the you know, MP for housing who was on our website, who basically promoted us, you know, because we did the solar on his roofs, you know. I rely a lot on word of mouth, but I understand that I probably need to do a bit more marketing. But the mentoring side for me I don't actually rely on that income, if that makes sense. I'm already financially free. That is really giving me an idea of what the flavoring. I mean, I can see what's happening in the property market around the UK. I can see where the opportunities are faster than anyone else. Also, you know, with the fact that
forward mindset.
Pardon?
Is it a pay it forward mindset, or sort of?
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, and you know, for me, so now what I am going to be doing is, you know, promoting myself. So I actually help someone it's called the Holborn Property Meet. So what I've decided is that I will do a 2-minute presentation, 5-10 minute presentation about current market conditions before they kick off. And then, you know, they'll obviously have their speakers. I am speaking at the Holborn Property Meet in April as well. So if anyone's in London, come along and say hello. Yeah. So it's
there. How, if the any viewers watching there, how would they find the Holborn Property Meet?
Okay. So if you just Google in London, you know, Holborn Property Meet, you will find it basically.
Okay. Is it Giovanni? Is that him?
That's correct. So Giovanni runs it along with Vasil as well, and some of my other mentors. So there's about 7 of the guys that are absolutely tremendous. They're very go-getting. They run the meet as well. So yes, but if you just Google, you know, Holborn Property Meet, it will pop up. There is only one Holborn Property Meet.
Yeah, that's it. It's one of the prominent ones, and that's why I know Giovanni's name. It often stumbles across my email inbox, so it's quite interesting. Yeah. Now, yourself, you said you're busy here, there, and everywhere, but you also mentioned something that was very important, is your wife being your stability or your foundation, if we're talking property, in supporting you. You're a busy man. How do you balance leisure, income, family, experience? To me, LIFE, life. How do you balance that work-life balance?
Okay. Being an entrepreneur and a true sense of the entrepreneur, I don't rest, John, unfortunately. I do not rest. And my wife will tell you, she'll complain, she'll go, you should take it easy. But, you know, entrepreneurs don't rest. You know, we are restless souls, which is why we just go out and I'm passionate about what I do. You know, I don't hate what I do. I love what I do. And because I love what I do, it's like a hobby, you know. It's not a hobby, it's a business, but I love what I do. You know, my work-life balance, you know, yes, I spend weekends with my kids, so I am able to, you know, pick them up from school now and again. Where my wife helps me is that she looks after the core unit, yeah. You know, so we often try and spend as much time with the family at the weekends. You know, it's a family thing at the weekend. The other thing I also try with my kids is, you know, I believe in charity. So, like I said to you before, that I do a lot of charity work. But, you know, if we've got time, I could share that story with you, but I'm not sure.
I'll tell you what, let's finish off with that, because that's a very important topic and a key piece of what I'm trying to capture here. But just before we move off, my wife does a similar sort of role in my existence, as looking after it, and I've given her the esteemed title of Minister of Home Affairs.
Very good, yes.
So she's grabbed that title, and so yeah, she looks after, and it's probably the most underappreciated, underpaid, but most respected and essential roles that is in our life. And I hope she's listening, and she's probably in the room next door doing something, or ordering Tesla or something like that. But we cannot do what we do without them. If we had to balance the house, we couldn't be as successful as we are.
Exactly. The old saying is, behind every successful man, there's a woman. You know, and you do need, you know, you need a good relationship. You know. And a partner who understands your drive. You know, and says, well, yeah, you know, you need to go off and do this. You know. So yeah, that's where it stems from. But you know, you do need to have a nice balance. So, yeah.
No, very good. Okay, before we get on to the charitable stuff, as I call it, the old HR question, where's Mattand in 3 to 5 years' time? What are you up to?
I want to do more of the charity stuff now. For me, you know, when you've had money, you've lost money, and we're talking about big money now. Yeah, when you've had money, you've lost money, you realize that money is not the important be-all and end-all, you know. For me, you know, I'm financially great. It is a case of, yes, you know, I would like to build it up, but I'd like to do a foundation now. So in 3 years' time, if you ask me, I've already started the charity stuff. So I'd like to actually set up a foundation, you know, very much like Bill Gates and Warren Buffett. I believe in giving back. You know, you put on this planet, you can't take it with you. You come with nothing, you're going to leave with nothing, right? It's the people's lives that you affect right now, how many people that you help as well. And for me, it's all about that. So it's more about giving back. So I would say to you, in the next 3-5 years, what I want to do is help set up a foundation by then. My goal is to actually set up a foundation that runs on property income. So what's happening is that it's a self-fulfilling, it's always generating an income, and it's going to help and then for my kids to actually go out and do the good in the world, you know, and spend their life, instead of working for someone else, spending the money that the foundation creates from property, that they can do good. So I take my kids to India.
Oxygen mask analogy again.
Yeah, you know.
You've got that stability. Now, I know I don't know the whole story, but I know you've got an interesting story of how you got into your charitable mindset. Can you give me a brief run up to that?
Yeah, sure, I can. You know, basically what happened was, when I'd lost my money the second time, you know, it was a big blow, you know. And my father actually said to me at the time, he said, you know, we need to go on a pilgrimage. You know, you've lost your money twice now. Maybe, you know, we need to go to pray to God. And we went round so I actually said to him, I'm broke. I've got no money to get on the plane. He said, I'll pay for your ticket. I'll pay for everything. And we went around India to all the ancient temples. And there's a very ancient village called Mathura, which Lord Krishna was born in as a child. So it's a very holy place. So we went to all the holy sites. And one of the things at this holy site was, it's in the middle of nowhere. It's not a great, you'd think that the village would be quite affluent. It's not. It's probably one of the poorest villages that I've ever been to in India, where we started to pray in the temple, and the priest at the time had said, had started making us say, we will give money to the temple, blah, 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 and I actually took a step back.
Give money to the temple?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So, repeat after me, pray with me. My name is blah, blah, blah. I promise to give, this money to the temple. Okay. And I actually stopped there, and I got quite annoyed.
There's some conferences that do that as well, yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. So I actually stopped there, and I said to my dad, or I said to the priest, I said, there's people outside starving, and all the priests had the big bellies, they'd been well fed, and outside this building are people who are starving, right? And I had made a promise to God at that time. I said, if you put me back whole, if you help me and put me back whole, I will come back and do good. And that's what I've done, so I started small. So I've actually got a charity out in India, which helps underprivileged kids and also handicapped kids. So what I tend to do is I tend to take the money that I've made here, and I take it out there basically, and spend a week or 14 days in India just doing charity work. So rather than, and I don't give it to an individual, I actually participate. So, so that's how that started.
So an individual tends to dilute the funding.
Yeah. So what I tend to do is so the first project was, we went to the school, they needed equipment for the kids, so we bought that. The second year that we went, they needed a canopy, So each year I asked the school, what are we going to do next, basically? I need something bigger. So it really culminated with providing 500 uniforms, because the schools that we work with are very poor schools. Now, in India, you've got the big divide between the haves and the have-nots, the haves and the have-nots.
Yeah.
And the teacher, at the time said to me, look, can we buy uniforms? I was expecting PCs, Macs and stuff like that. She said uniforms. So I said to her, well, why uniforms? Explain to me. And she said, we need to build up these kids' self-esteem, right? Because when they're walking on the streets, what's happening is that they're walking barefoot. They've got the clothes that they've slept in, everything else. They look like ragabone men. But they've got the private school kids who've got the name badges, the ties. So if we can provide that, make our school like a private school, they will raise their self-esteem. And I said, okay, I think that's a really good idea. So we provided 550 odd uniforms for the kids. And, starting that actually made the government, and with Modi coming in also, the school teacher is very proactive. She's brilliant. So she came in, and then what she started doing is then appealing. But because we'd started it, everyone could see what the school was becoming. More people joined the bandwagon.
An evolution.
Yeah. And now I'm working with another school, which unfortunately the kids have been abandoned. So they've got mental, they've got disabilities, so mental and physical disabilities. So we're helping them basically, so we leave food for them. We buy food or tell the shops to deliver the food to them, things like that, John. And that is far more reading that I've ever done. And it's like a drug. It really is. When you see these kids' faces and you're doing it. And that's why I take my kids, because I want them to see the joy in giving, and it's absolutely outstanding. And for me, I get a buzz out of it. I get more of a buzz about that than making the money on the deal. I'll be honest with you, So that's where I'm at. I'm at a stage in my life now where I am legacy building. I've done everything else, so I'm building a legacy now. So I concentrate more on building the legacy. So that's where I'm at now. Yeah.
The giving side of things, I'm trying to explain it to my kids, and I need to do something along those lines. But it's my birthday tomorrow.
Happy birthday, John.
I'm older tomorrow. But I'm older now than I was at the beginning of the show. That's the way that I look at it. So I'm more experienced and knowledgeable. But the way I look at it, sorry, coming back to your charitable piece there, is I'm not bothered about getting not Christmas presents, birthday presents tomorrow. That means nothing to me. I have what I want, I have what I need, and all the rest. Yes, I'm blessed, and I'm very thankful for that. But there's probably, bar a very expensive Ferrari, something that would put a massive smile on my face, and that's just going completely, synthetic sort of happiness, and it's short-lived. But if it was my child's birthday tomorrow, and I gave my child that one little toy, that £5 toy, he's only 5 years old, and it could be a little £5 toy that he opens, and it's the look on his face of happiness and excitement. That's the kicker. It's the giving. And do you want to receive, or do you want to give? There's much more pleasure in the giving than in the receiving.
Absolutely right. And the thing is, with me, with my age and my experience now, it's more about the giving side, than getting on. I've had the fast cars. I've had that. I've had the lifestyle that I wanted. I lead quite a humble life. I want to just give back now. But and the mentees as well that I've had. I try to impart. Okay, I like working with people who are actually going to give back as well. So I'm quite choosy on the people that I work with. I don't work with many people, John. One of my models is not that I want to work with thousands of people, right? It's not a case of that. I do want to change people's lives, but because I am busy, I only want a few people that I mentor, basically. And I can focus on them, and I can give them my attention as well. So that's what I try to do. I will be running a couple of courses, but they're very small courses just to help people to understand, like the JV finance course and things like that, but I will be doing that.
How do people get hold of you, Martin? So they just click on your name on the link on this radio show on Facebook. Is that the best way?
Well, you can send me a message on Facebook. I am going to build a website, but I haven't had time to actually build a website. But the other way to do it is
building schools instead. Don't worry about it.
The other way of doing it, John, is let me give you my email address. Send me an email. I'm a very approachable guy, and it is a case of I don't know if you've got my email address, but send me an email. It's mattand@hotmail.com, or send me a message on Facebook that you are interested. What I tend to do, John, is I tend to have a coffee. Any prospective student who wants to be mentored, I either do a Skype call. I really want to find out what their goals are before I just say, I want to mentor you. So we normally have a half an hour chat, an hour chat. I want to see where they want to go and what they want to try and achieve. And if I can help them, I would say, okay, look, I can help you. I can definitely help you. So that's how we start, basically.
Okay, good. And now on the charity side of stuff, is that the same route into or to help for the charity, or have you got a charity name or something that we could attach?
No, we haven't got a charity name, John. The charity is done by us, basically. Yep. So okay. I don't tend to fundraise. I tend to give the money myself. When it's a big project, my ultimate goal is to actually build a school there. But when we come to those sort of levels, then I will look for donations from other people. But our friends and family, I put out a donation about clothes, So when I go to India, I take suitcases of old kids' clothes and I give it to all the kids out there. So it's a case of, I'll put out a little email saying that anyone in North London, if you've got old clothes, please let me have them. I'll take them to India. I'll give them to the poor, But I don't look for necessarily for money from people, basically. Yeah, unless it's going to be a really big project.
Yeah, and I know coming from Africa as well, it's the little things that make all the difference. I mean, little things like pens, pencils, paper, and stuff like that. That stuff is massive to them because they don't have access to that.
Exactly.
And it's so difficult for them to learn and expensive. For us, for me to go out and buy a box of pens and pencils is 99.99% of the people watching the show. Geez, if you've got a computer, you can afford a whole box of pencils. These kids can't afford a pencil.
Correct. And you can go on holiday, John. When you go on holiday, you can find these kids. You can just do it for 5 minutes or there are people who are in need. If you try as an individual when you go on holiday, if you're going to Africa, if you're going to, just take, like you said, some basic items that they need and see the joy it brings you by giving it to them. And then I guarantee you'll do more. The next time you go, you'll do more.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of people forget that, it's just a bit of giving and there's a short-term thing. But I personally believe you have the capacity to change somebody's life, somebody's outlook on life, somebody's positivity. And once that's happened, I believe that propagates and that goes further and further. And they become a more caring and giving person as well. And this is the whole thing. I might have mentioned to you before that we're writing a book based on the content of these shows. There's a property bias and there's also the charity bias. And I believe that, as I was saying, you can't do good things. If you haven't got any money, you can't really do good things. Okay, sure, there's Mother Teresa and all the rest of that. That's a different story. But I do believe in property being one of those vehicles to exactly what you have done, to enable the stability of regular income, because we live in the society that demands a regular income for us to be able to live at a certain level, which we are comfortable with. But then once you've retained that level, you then have the ability to achieve more than that. And I genuinely believe that people that have done that are now capable of more charitable donations, time, whatever it is that they want to do. And people give in different ways. And that way we can make a difference in the world. And this is my view is this radio shows guys that are doing property to enable the charitable side of things. So you've 100% tapped every single angle in there. And from my heart, I must commend you and say, thank you. So that's pretty much the show in a nutshell, Mattand. Anything else that you want to say or ask of anybody else out there?
If anyone is interested, the best way to get in contact with me is, like I said, either Facebook or by email. I hope you'll put it up somewhere. But and I would like to just empower people. I've come from a very low point. Low to a sense of that my life was actually worth more dead because of my insurance policies. Those were low points. And then to raise your game to actually set up a £2 million solar company is, so. And I would say to people, if I can do it, you can do it. You just need belief and you need to work hard. Praying about it and thinking about it won't achieve it. Taking action and positive thought will achieve what you want to achieve. So I would say this to everyone.
My rules is three. There's three very simple steps. You can extenuate each one anyway, but the 3 steps is have a very clear and decided vision of exactly what it is that you want to achieve. Whether it's some people call it a dream, but I believe it's only a dream if you haven't got a plan of action next to it. I believe the next step there is to go and find the people like yourself, mentors, coaches, that can help you achieve that vision, because just that vision on its own isn't anything. And between the two of you, draw out an actionable plan, a bite-sized chunk plan, and then just to execute small little pieces, one buy-to-let at a time, one estate agent viewing at a time. If you do enough of those, you're going to fall into the next section. And eventually that massive dream will become a vision, will become a reality. And it's as simple as that. Believe it, plan it, and then go out and achieve it. It's as easy as that. And this is coming back to what the show is about. This is part of the education, how to do stuff, how to get into property without any money, all the different strategies. I interview people all around the world. We've had Australia, Chicago, South Africa, Switzerland, a few in the UK, and we've crossed many different charitable people from yourself, building and helping schools in India. I've had guys building schools in Africa, guys that are doing complete developments that are only powered by solar, and then selling the energy back to the grid. Brilliant. Brilliant. Guys that are handing out care packages to the homeless in Chicago. It's freezing cold. So there's beautiful people out there, and this is what the show is about: is finding the good, the people that are not just what people assume are the money-hungry property people.
Yeah.
And this is what I believe: we do well in property, we have the ability to do the good and benefit others on the planet.
Yeah.
So from myself, to wrap it up, Mattand, genuine honor to have you on the show. You definitely exemplify everything that we're looking for. Somebody's been there, done it, made it, lost it, but gained a whole lot of wise knowledge. And out the other side, you've just become a fantastic human being. Yeah. Honestly, an honor to have you on the show. Thank you very much, Mattand. To all my viewers out there in property land, thank you very much. Please get hold of Mattand if you want. His link is on is below this video. But on behalf of myself, Radio Works, and Building Returns, this is this evening, and we'll catch you again next week. Thank you very much. Good evening.
Bye.
Cheers.